So in last video we were discussing about SEZ. So we'll get exemption from income tax, exemption from GST, single window clearance, exemption on electricity duty or tax on sale of electricity by certain states in India, presence of custom officer in the SEZ. If maximum of the manufacturing units in that SEZ belongs to the 100% export oriented, then custom officers will be appointed there only. You don't have to go to the customs department. The custom officers will be appointed there only. Some states also offers land to SEZ developers at concessional rates to promote industries. Supposing you want to establish the manufacturing plant, but you want to make an SEZ wherein you want to invite other manufacturer to establish their company. If you have any land, or if you want to purchase a land and make it into an SEZ, then government will provide you some incentives if you do that also. Somebody had come, so there was some disturbance, that's why I am continuing this as a one more video. Now next is export oriented units. In this first one we studied SEZ. Now next one is export oriented units. Export oriented units means all the manufactured goods must be exported wherever your organization may be located. It may be located in an SEZ or outside an SEZ, wherever if it is located, if it exports all the goods that they are manufactured, जो कुछ भी आपके कंपनी में मैन्युफैक्चर होता है वो सभी अगर आप एक्सपोर्ट करते हो, then you will get certain incentive. What are those incentive? Again, those incentives are exemption on import duty for raw material as well as capital goods. Raw material as well as capital good. If you are importing any raw material and capital goods are the machineries. If you are importing, on that you will get exemption on import duty. But what is the condition? Condition is that it has to be 100% export oriented. There should not be a single product which will be sold within the country. Suppose exporting करना चाहिए, and a minimum investment of 1 crore should be there in your company. Why 1 crore investment is needed? Because government wants to make sure that you have the capacity to sustain for a long term. कोई भी 1 करोड़ इन्वेस्ट करके लॉस हो या करके 1 या 2 साल में बंद नहीं करेगा. He will make sure he will make all full proof plan, and then only he will invest if somebody is investing 1 crore. That's why it has put a minimum cap of 1 crore rupees is needed if it wants to export. I mean, if your company wants to be recognized as an export oriented unit. Then other benefit is exemption of central excise duty for goods purchased within the country. If any goods is purchased within the country, then excise duty you don't have to pay if you are an export oriented units. ऐसा नहीं कि आप 100% एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हो और आपको ये सभी बेनिफिट मिलता है, ऐसा नहीं रहता है. What you have to do is you have to be registered under government as an export oriented units, then only you will get all the benefit. If you are registered as an export oriented units who is making 100% export, then what you will get import duty on raw materials, import duty exemption on raw materials and capital goods. You will get exemption on central excise duty for goods purchased within the country, and there is 100% foreign investment allowed. 100% foreign investment means any foreign country any company from the foreign country want to establish a manufacturing unit in India and wants to export all of its products to outside India, those companies can also do it. ऐसा नहीं कि Indians can only avail this benefit. Any foreign firm, supposing consider BMW is an foreign company. If it wants to establish a car manufacturing plant in India and export all its cars manufactured in that manufacturing plant to other country, then it can avail benefit under export oriented units. Clear? Now next is software technology park. These are certain areas. Now what does what does manufacturing plant need? If certain manufacturing plant is there, what the main basic thing it requires is it needs land, building, machinery, transportation, etc. These are all the basic things that is needed to the manufacturing plant. Now what are the basic things that are needed for a software company? It should have main thing it should have is a nice office. एक अच्छा सा ऑफिस रहना चाहिए. It should have basic furniture. It should have computers or laptops, whatever they are working on. These are all computers, furniture, office. These are all basic things that are needed for a software company to start functioning. Now what government does is that it provides all these basic facilities under software technology park. It will establish and it will provide all these basic facilities. The companies which are established in this software technology park, they have to pay a minimum rent, very minimum rent, and they don't have to pay anything else. They don't have to pay electricity bill, they don't have to pay water bill, they don't have to pay parking charges, nothing they have to pay. They have to pay only minimum charges, and all the basic facilities such as office space, furnitures will be provided by the technology park. Who has established a technology park, they will provide. These software technology parks can be established by the government as well as the private. If private is establishing, then government will provide them support to establish the software park. Now why the software park is needed? Supposing in IT sector, what will happen? There will be many startups. Those who have the idea but don't have much money, so they want basic support for support. Supposing you have one idea and you don't know whether that idea will work or not, and if you want to set up everything by your own, so consider you need 50 lakh rupees. You will not be ready to invest 50 lakh rupees on your idea, in which there is no any guarantee that it will be success or failure. Whereas you will come to know that if you are investing 10 lakh rupees, then the rest of the 40 lakhs, whatever investment you are doing, that will be taken care by software technology park. That time what you will do, you will think twice. और एक बार तुम लोग सोचोगे सिर्फ 10 लाख रुपए में अगर ये सॉफ्टवेयर टेक्नोलॉजी पार्क पे स्पेंड करूँगा, या मेरे कंपनी के ऊपर स्पेंड करके सॉफ्टवेयर टेक्नोलॉजी पार्क में मेरा कंपनी एस्टेब्लिश करूँगा, तो मैं मेरा कंपनी स्टार्ट कर सकता हूँ. तो आप अगर आपको ऐसा ऑफ़र मिला तो क्या आप क्या करेंगे? इंस्टेड ऑफ कैंसलिंग, यू विल ट्राई टेकिंग ए रिस्क. So now what is the benefit for this software technology park is that, supposing you establish a company in software technology park and your company will get into loss and you want to close that company, what you can do is you can close the company and you can come back. The same office space, the same office or the same furniture will be used by some other company, by other company, so that it will not go into waste, or they don't have to sell that space. They will provide it to whoever wants to establish a software company and who is ready to pay minimum rent, they will provide it to them. आप नहीं तो दूसरे को दे देंगे. Objective is to make India one of the largest exporter of IT related products and services. This objective is to make India one of the largest exporter of IT related products services. Foreign investment of 100% is allowed. Now different software parks are found in Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, Hyderabad, wherein you can find different software parks established by government as well as private. Now for example, Infosys has established IT park in Bangalore, TCS has established, Accenture has established, wherein these Infosys, TCS, they have named them their IT parks, and they have their own subsidiaries, companies under their own company. Under Infosys Technologies, they have different companies under them. So these all different companies are situated in this software technology park. So benefit what the government provide is that the apart from the tax discount, they also provide the benefit of the providing the office space, providing the basic furnitures, providing the registration if they want to, any registration problem if they have, they also have that also. Now next is Export Promotion Council. Export Promotion Council, as I said earlier, depending upon the industry, there will be different organizations formed either by the government or by the private. Their objective is to promote the industries in that particular sector or industry. Export Promotion Council or are authorities. Export Promotion Councils are authorities which are basically promoting, supporting and assisting firms. What they are doing, they are basically promoting, supporting and assisting the firms in entering the international market. Whatever is required, whatever support is required, if they want to find out if you have any product and you don't know which market to export, then this Export Promotion Council will tell you these are the countries which you can export, what are the different procedure has to be followed in the export procedures, what are different steps that has to be followed within the country, steps has to followed in the other countries. Those all assistance will be provided by the Export Promotion Council. And realizing their optimum potential from given resource, whatever the minimum resources they have, from that minimum resources, how they can get, the companies can get maximum benefit. In that guidance, this Export Promotion Council will provide. They also provide guidance and assistance to the exporters. In legal terms, export promotional councils are non-profit organizations registered as a company or a society. Each Export Promotion Council is responsible for a particular group of products. Particular group of products or the industries, particular industry, sugar industry, cement industry, such kind of industries. Export Promotion Council is either established by the government or private or an NGO, or that is it will be a non-profit. Here let us see what role does EPC plays in export import industry. EPC means Export Promotion Council. Promoting government schemes. Export Promotion Council helps and promotes the exporters by making aware about government schemes and benefits. Whatever government schemes and benefits are there, they will make the companies aware about them. Collecting and restoring data. Promotes export data to compare industry growth. They collect the data regarding last 5 years import and export of the particular product. What are the trends? Which month of the year does a particular country import more? Which month of the year they will not import more? Which month the companies have to produce more, etc. Sending trade delegation. Trade delegation means group of people for negotiating with a particular company or with a particular government. If the government is imposing high taxes on a particular product, then the Export Promotion Council will send the people, experts, those who negotiate with the government, with the importers, to help the exporter, to make arrangements for sending trade delegation and study teams to one or more countries or promoting the export of specific products and to circulate reports of specific products. Other roles. Export Promotion Council also plays various roles at the policy level to promote growth. Other roles that Export Promotion Council plays is that provide information which is useful for exporters for its or its members in increasing their export. Export Promotion Council collects export and import data of its members as well as other data which is relevant to international trade. They organize trade delegation, explore opportunities of exporting. But one more thing that do is they organize what you call exhibitions. They organize exhibitions wherein they make the exporters of Indian companies to meet the different importers. International trade exhibitions are being conducted. They offer advice to their members related to technology, quality control standard and specifications. So these are the roles played by Export Promotion Council. Example of Export Promotion Council. Here are the examples of Export Promotion Council. First example is Apparel Export Promotion Council. Apparel Export Promotion Council. Basic Chemical and Pharmaceutical and Cosmetic Export Promotion Council. Carpet Promotion Council. Cashew Export Promotion Council or Cash of India. Chemical and Allied Export Products Export Promotion Council. These are the different promotion councils. Agriculture and Processed Food Products Export Development Authority. These are the councils. These are the different councils, and these are the industry which they belong. These are some of the examples. There are many of such export promotion councils. Now next is what is commodity board. Now there are different products which are from hundreds of years they are being exported, such as tea, coffee, silk, handicraft. Now these products they are being exported from many years, but percentage of export of these product is being decreased. It is taken over by some other products. तो पहले क्या होता था, यही प्रोडक्ट का ज़्यादा एक्सपोर्ट होता था, लेकिन क्या हो रहा है, इन प्रोडक्ट का अभी एक्सपोर्ट कम है और बाकियों का प्रोडक्ट्स का एक्सपोर्ट ज़्यादा हो रहा है. तो what government has done, because these percentage of export of these products is coming down, or comparatively it is coming down, it has established a commodity board, so that because of the increase in other sectors, these sectors should not be neglected in order to protect these, because from hundreds of years they are being exported, and in future also they will be exported. There is no doubt about that. In order to protect them, safeguard them, or in order to not to neglect them, what it has done, it has established commodity board. Commodity board is set up by Government of India to promote the traditional goods such as tea, coffee, silk, handicraft, etc. Now what is the objective of this commodity board? Advising government on fixing export quota and trade agreement. Export quota means it is one of the method of non-tariff barrier. There are two types of barriers. One is tariff barrier and then one is non-tariff barrier. Non-tariff barrier means without changing the tax, that is import tax or export tax. Without changing the tax, the government will control the import or export by putting some restriction. That is, you cannot export more than 1000 ton of a particular product. 1000 ton, 1000 टन से ज़्यादा आपको एक्सपोर्ट करना नहीं परमिशन दिया जाता है, और 1000 टन के ऊपर आपको import, you cannot import more than 1000 ton. Such type of actions taken by the government are called as non-tariff barrier. In that non-tariff barrier, one is putting the quota, that is restriction. Quota means restriction. Quota means restriction, not the place which is there in Rajasthan. वो quota नहीं. Quota means putting restriction. Next one is promotional activities. It makes different promotional activities such as exhibitions for the businesses or the exhibitions for the people. You might have seen about the wine mela that will be established, or coffee melas will be taken up by the government, that is to promote these sectors or these commodities. Opening branch offices in foreign countries, they will establish a branch office in foreign countries. These are being done by the government because the people who are in this business, that is tea, coffee, silk, they are the traditional business people. They are doing that business from many years. They are not so much well aware about the different schemes. They are not so much flexible in their mode of operations. So in order to take them along with the rest of the other international traders, the government has established these commodity boards, resolving their problem, undertaking research activities. They will not involve in any research activities, so government will do that research activity on behalf of them. They will train them on the modern techniques of production or the manufacturing. These are basically agricultural based companies. Now different these things are the commodity boards, that are coffee board, tea board, silk board, coffee board, tea board, cardamom board, rubber board, quiet board, central silk board. Silk board is very much famous in Bangalore. There All India Handicraft Board, All India Handicraft Board, the All India Handloom Board. So these are the different boards which have been set up by the government to support the traditional businesses from being competitive in the world. So here we come to end of the 4th module. If any doubts, please free to contact me. We'll be discussing this module in Zoom class again. In that Zoom class also, if you have any doubts, you can ask there also. Thank you.